What is up, DCS Crew? We are back at it again today with a review of a knife from We Knife Company. Now, you guys know them from, such subsidiaries as Civivi and Zenker. Now, this is their upper tier line. We Knife Company does their own designs. They do designs from different makers, including U.S. designers, and they do OEM work for some knife makers and companies that want to go ahead and do limited runs of certain designs. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and take a look at a Brad Zinker design called the Miscreant. This is going to be the smaller version, which in this case is dubbed the Miscreant 3.0. Okay, there's a lot to talk about with this one. This one hails just under 7 inches from the designer, who is Brad Zinker. He is a Florida custom knife maker. There was a lot of feedback on the standard version of the Miscreant. They did want a smaller version, so they went ahead and they released this one right here. It's very distinct. You can clearly tell it's Brad's design because of the signature holes that he puts basically everywhere on the knife, and we will get into that. But first, let's roll that intro on this review for the Miscreant 3.0 from We Knife Company, designed by Brad Zinker. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back and thank you for tuning in. This is the Brad Zinker Miscreant 3.0 from We Knife Company. Now, to my knowledge, there are 2 versions of this. There is the version with the 4-inch blade, and then there's this version with the 3-inch blade. There are 2 color combos for this particular type. There is a gray version, and then there is a black version. Okay, you will see that this is basically a matte black, and what they've done is the pivot collar is the We Knife Company symbol, and then the holes, what they've done is they've satinized them to a nice little polish, so you can see there, and they look beautiful. And that's only on the show side. If you actually look at the clip side, it's done very nice and muted, which, by the way, this particular frame lock has a right hand tip up carry only. If you look at the other side, there are no holes for carry, but there are these holes back here so that you can go ahead and apply a lanyard. And I thought that was pretty cool because they kind of like dug it into the whole scheme of the knife to make it look very nice and uniform. This is something that Brad Zinker is he's known for. He is a holy knife designer. If it was, Batman talking, he'd be like, "Holy knife designers, Batman." Or actually, that'd be Robin saying to Batman, and then Batman would slap him and be like, "Get yourself together, Dick." But yeah, Brad's signature, his knife signatures on the blade, his maker's mark, that is the BZ, which stands for Brad Zinker. On the other side is a nice sterile stone-washed blade. And let me see if it shows the steel here. There we go. You can see it. Crucible Powder Metallurgy 20 CV. That's a US made 20 CV steel that is chemically very similar to Bowler M390 or Carpenter's CTS 204P. Very well done. We Knife Company really has never had problems with their heat treat on blades like this, and with people like Brad Zinker, he puts a lot into his knife designs and into the OEM process, and even just the overall process of these knives. If you recall earlier, probably not this year, but last year, I did a review on one of his designs, the Dogtooth folder, which was another frame lock folder from, and it's a slightly larger, from Drop. That was one that I wasn't really feeling. I felt like it was, after using it for a while, it did feel a little bit weird in the hand. I wasn't used to it, and I kind of wrote it off, to be completely honest. It really wasn't something for me, and I ended up selling it. That was one of my personal knives. This one was actually sent to me, to go ahead and check out again for the channel. It was kind of like my second chance to be able to go ahead and looking into this knife. My thoughts have changed. But before I go into that, let me just go ahead and show you, just all around this knife. And I'm going to put this to the side so you can go ahead and see the specs on here. So here's the show side. Here's the front. Here's the clip side. And here's the rear. This is what it looks like when it is open on the show side, and this is what it looks like when it's open on the clip side. As far as dimensions are concerned, let's go ahead and throw out a couple of knives here so you can see how big it is compared to some of its peers. Speaking of peers, that's the Les George Design ProTech SBR. This is the Kershaw Atmos from Dmitry Sinkovich. Pretty similar as far as length of the overall knife. We have the SOG Terminus XR right there. Another one that's kind of similar as far as blade length is concerned. We have the Arroyo from Artisan Cutlery, designed by Mr. Dirk Pinkerton. Love some of his stuff, man. Let me tell you, I love me some Dirk Pinkerton designs, man. Here is the CJRB Mylea. Let's see here. It's the Kershaw Dividend. And last but not least, let's go ahead and throw in the small Feldspar from CJRB. And as you can see, there's a pretty standardized length overall of these knives. It's about 7 inches. This one here is just under 6.9. If I recall, on the spec sheet that We Knife Company provided, it's 6.86. And as with a lot of Brad's knives, this is an extremely lightweight knife. I mean, how could it not be with all of these relief holes cut in, right? With the holes here, they got little holes on the side, they got little holes on the clip. I mean, there's a little bit of, holes everywhere. Like I said, it's a holy knife. And this actually weighs in at 2.3 ounces, or if you're in Europe or you like using, grams as far as your unit of measure, it's 65 grams. It came in nice and centered. And so, this knife, it has a very neutral handle to it, which is good because this kind of thing isn't meant to be one of those, like, get them in, hard use kind of knives. It's nice and thin, and it just that neutral feeling of the handle, with, by the way, these holes allow you to be able to go ahead and grasp it and use it as intended and then put it away. It actually doesn't feel as bad as you'd think, but it's not something that you'd be able to want to use, long term. You're going to feel it in the hand. And I don't know too many people who would want to use something like this, for an extended period of time. If you have this and, you're going to go to a steakhouse and cut some steaks and do some regular EDC tasks and stuff like that, you're not going to have a problem with corrosion. You're not going to have a problem with the issue of it being in your hand, because of the fact that it does actually feel pretty comfortable. Even the areas where there is jimping, like there is jimping right here, so that when it is open, you do have access to that jimping there. And then a little bit of jimping on the flipper tab, okay? It's tactile enough to where it grabs your finger to be able to go ahead and use the jimping, but it's not too overbearing. So it's something to consider when you're looking at these kind of knives is, not only the weight, but the actual form factor, how it feels in the hand. And I really recommend that if you have an opportunity to check out one of Brad Zinker's designs, be sure to go ahead and check out this particular one in the Miscreant, the 3.0 and the 4.0. You'd be surprised. He makes some surprisingly light knives, and they happen to work pretty well in the hand. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Dogtooth, but I gotta tell you, I'm actually digging this one. It really is nice. And I gotta tell you, one thing that really showed me, it actually impressed me right out of the box, was the action on this knife. Now, the reason why I say that is because I've held some of his customs. I've held his Mintex. He's done work with Boker. He's done just his own custom knives. And then I had the Dogtooth from Drop. The Dogtooth wasn't bad, but it had like this compound grind to it that was really not my thing. And the action could have been a little bit better. But this one, I gotta tell you, just out of the box, the action is fantastic. I mean, I have had no problem whatsoever working this knife. And it's just the way that it's been designed, even with the little cutout here so that you have access to the lock bar, and it just still looks nice and ergonomic. It looks like it's very Zen-like in its approach. Even just by the way you look at it and the way that it shimmers with that those satinized relief holes that are those speed holes, I guess, if you will. It's almost like mesmerizing, you know, and I really dig that. And that's, you know, they even went into doing that just on the showed side, because if you actually turn it over and you look at it on the clip side, it's actually very dark, and I had to bring it close because if not, it would have actually just kind of drowned out, you know, back here. But I wanted you to see it up close so you can see what I'm talking about. They do have the Wii knife pivot on one side, and then on the clip side, they do have the standardized pivot, which is actually, it's a screw and then like a pivot collar. Let me see here. There you go. It's actually the screw, and then you have a pivot collar that's on there. So that's something else I wanted to go ahead and show off. And then now to the clip. They've actually even put holes onto the clip, and then just a longer one over here. They use flat screws, but they do not have a cutout portion of the scale to be able to go ahead and allow this to kind of like bury itself within the scale. As you can see here, it kind of sticks out just a little bit. And then let me go ahead and get my little piece of shorts so I can go ahead and put that here and then show you how it looks when it is inside of the pocket. So getting into that, there we go. And it goes in pretty deep because it is a deep carry pocket clip. How deep? Well, so you can see here, it is a black knife, so I'm gonna go ahead and use my flashlight to go ahead and show that off a little bit. You can see there's very little of it that actually shows. I'm gonna go ahead and put it forward so you can see what I'm talking about. It's completely buried by that deep carry clip. And the fact is, it's not a stone washed, or I'm sorry, it's not a satin clip. So this is one that is not gonna get a lot of attention, especially when you're wearing darker jeans or black slacks, navy slacks, that sort of thing. I look out for stuff like that when it's something like this, you know, kind of dimensions, this amount of thickness or lack of thickness. It's nice and thin, and size. This is an ideal upscale gentleman's knife for something like office use, and I would definitely consider something like this on my day-to-day, you know, when I'm wearing slacks or, you know, darker khakis, that sort of thing. So that's my take on this. Now, if I had to take something away from it, I didn't really understand why they ended up using a stonewashed blade on this, which is more like an acid stonewash. I know that it did say gray stonewash on the spec sheet, but this feels like it's a much darker blade finish, because if you look at the edge, it really shimmers against that. And then when you look at the satin finish on these speed holes, there's a big glaring difference between the two, and that's the only part of the knife other than the titanium lock bar that is stonewashed. And yeah, I think so. Yeah. Everything else is either satin or it's coated black. So that's kind of weird that they ended up stonewashing it. But I mean, you know, it is what it is. It doesn't take too much off of the knife, but I just thought that was kind of odd. Other than that, I really can't say too much else about this knife because of the fact that, you know, it's a great knife. I mean, even with its small size and form factor, I have yet to have an issue with the frame lock and kind of like putting pressure on it to be able to open. I have yet to, you know, having that issue where it just will not open. It actually snaps out extremely well. It's very reliable when it opens, and it's something that I would definitely consider, like I said, if I was using an office knife. You know, if I was back in the office and I had the option to go ahead and carry this would be my EDC, and I would have no problem with it whatsoever. CPM 20 CV steel, good to go. Sharpens up really well. You know, chemically very similar, if not identical. Just you know, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other when you're comparing it to somebody like, you know, Crucible, which does 20 CV. You have Carpenter with CTS 204P, and then you have Bowler Hum that does M390. Really can't go wrong with either one of them. They chose Crucible. In this particular case, you have that imported US steel that goes to Wii Knife Company, and they do a nice job on behalf of Brad Zinker. So I'm actually kind of happy that Brad, you know, chose Wii Knife Company to do a lot of their work. I know that they produced the Dogtooth, which is the one I was kind of dogging in comparison to this one. But the truth is, this design did really well as the Miscreant, just standardized with the 4.0, the 4-inch blade, you know, just a full-size version. And I think it translated pretty well when he went ahead and designed the smaller one. So that being said, this would be a buy. This one is looking at around like 170, which, you know, is actually pretty good, because if you're looking at prices nowadays, I mean, not for nothing, you know, but you got like the Spider Goes, and you got some of these Benchmads that are selling for $300-400. Even the ones that are not made in the US, you have Spider Goes that are made outside, like in Taiwan, that are fetching 400 plus. I mean, look at the new Sleege Bowie, you know, that they came out with M390 and anodized scales. You know, it's a little bit bigger than this, but they wanted $400 for it. It sold out in just, you know, a short amount of time, and then it's gonna hit the, well, you know what, I don't even want to get into it because it's not about that. But the point is that there is value that is there in the EDC community that doesn't usually get seen. If you are somebody that is into just an office style knife, you may want to go ahead and check this out from We Knife Company. As it states on their bags, you know, we made better. So that said, whether you get something from Sencut or Civivi or even We Knife Company, just remember, if you EDC, think of DCS. This is the Brad Zinker Miscreant 3.0. I am Carlos. You've been great. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you love this video, hit subscribe button and hit that bell. And leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions about it, or reach out to me at Daily Carry Solutions on Instagram, and I'd be more than happy to respond. Let me go ahead and put this away, guys. I got lots of stuff to do. I got more knives to review, and I'll see you next time. Peace.